I was always an outdoorsman. I used to do a lot of hiking, and I lived in Alabama, and there was a mountain behind us, and I used to do that. I was an avid tennis player, and I just love the outdoors.
Being able to see out and see nature, rather than being closed in. I just think it's wonderful to be able to see it, and I think it's more wonderful to be able to open the doors and get outside and, and enjoy being outside.
The value of nature can be measured in so many various ways, in social, spiritual, psychological, physical, health, and economic benefits. In your professional role, you can positively affect the quality of life of the people you work with, build for, design for, and ultimately, you will see the economic impact of these changes.
Whether you are planning or renovating a long-term care facility, nursing home, or senior housing project, making nature attractive and accessible can be a cost-effective way to upgrade an existing community while improving quality of life for caregivers, residents, and their families.
Well, I think it's really important to the well-being of the residents that we have a lot of outdoor spaces that are accessible for them, where they can reach those easily and enjoy those. It's important to them because it helps them feel refreshed, I think, and alive, connected.
Many times, people who move into long-term facilities expect to experience a loss of the quality of their life, and when they actually move into a facility that's developed correctly, they actually have a greater activity level, and their life is enhanced, and they experience things they haven't experienced in a long time.
Research is beginning to confirm that regular contact with nature can dramatically affect our overall health, and we may recover faster and be happier if we have access to nature.
In countries all over the world, researchers are studying how nature benefits our aging population and why it is so important in residential care settings. Over the past 10 years, this topic has become the focus of researcher Susan Rodick at Texas A&M University.
I started doing focus groups in nursing homes and assisted living communities, and one resident after another would come out with the most heartfelt comments. I love nature. It's where I live. It's my connection to the world.
Having good evidence to guide healthcare design, not only to help ensure that gardens are well designed and really promote better outcomes, but also to help make the case for decision makers so they can better understand, using tangible data from outcomes and in some cases financial data, why this is the right thing to do.
One of the key things to successful aging is to be physically active. And if you are part of nature, that helps you be physically active. Another key element is to have social interactions, to be with people. Again, nature is a way that you can be active yourself and active with other people. Another key to successful aging is really a sense of self and well-being, and nature can also provide that. So really it says that nature is important for all the kinds of things that contribute to successful aging.
I have a real nice patio that stretches across the whole part of my apartment, and that's one of my hobbies is plants. I love them, and I love the outdoors too.
The world of nature and the outdoors is important throughout the lifespan and appears to be vital to health. Imagine, however, that you spend every day in the same building, morning to night, without being able to go outdoors.
Quality of life in long-term care is a very critical issue, and one of the problems with long-term care, not because it's nursing homes, is that it's hard to maintain mental health in very constraining environments. And the longer you spend in an environment, if you're in a 24/7 condition as a nursing home resident is, then the environment around you is even more important than for the rest of us who can always escape and change environments.
I don't think any of us have ever thought that being divorced from the outside world and being divorced from nature was the way that we wanted to live, and it would constitute a reasonable quality of life. I think you can't have a full life without access to the natural world. People who like to walk outdoors and enjoy nature, and they've done it all their lives, when they move to an assisted living facility, why should that be taken away from them?
When they are brought into a long-term care setting, they have been taken away typically from their home setting. The benefits of them being able to go outside with staff, go outside to a particular area with family members, it brings them the sense of nature that they may feel that they lose when they're in an institutional setting.
As human beings, we're experiential individuals, and we need to experience nature in all things that we do. We need to experience light, water, sound, animals. That's all a part of the quality of life, and when you cut someone off from that and isolate them from that, they almost die.
Although we try to create a home-like environment for people, there can be significant challenges, especially outdoors. Often the size and location of a senior community can make it more difficult for residents to access the outdoors and to spend time outside in safety and comfort.
On the one hand, everybody realizes it's important. And on the other hand, people realize it's not typically working in a lot of retirement communities. And there's a big gap between knowing what should be done and knowing how to do it.
If areas are underutilized, it can be due to organizational problems or obstacles, such as the experience of the outdoors has not been incorporated or embedded in the care protocol. Staff are too busy to take people outside or prepare them for going outside. But very often it's due to poor design of the garden. If gardens are simply concrete pads devoid of shade, vegetation, and positive aesthetic nature distraction, people won't go out into them. It's a combination of good design and appropriate organizational adjustments that can realize the full benefits of outdoor spaces for seniors.
We can look at two main ways to support and encourage outdoor usage: through people and through places.
Some improvements are related to people through policies, attitudes, and activity programs. Other improvements are related to places through the planning, design, and construction of the residential environment.
This series will address both types of issues and is focused on how to plan and design the building and grounds so older people will actually use them. However, even if you have a great place for seniors to go outdoors, they may be discouraged by different types of barriers, such as weather, climate, or health conditions.
Residents with severe physical frailties or respiratory disorders, for example, may need to gain access to nature in alternative ways. A bright window, atrium, or greenhouse can help bring nature indoors for those unable to go out, or when it's too cold, too hot, or rainy.
Indoor plantings, water features, and horticultural therapy programs are good options where space and budget are limited. These can be inspiring, relaxing, and help stimulate sensory perception. Although this program is focused on the challenges of planning outdoor access for seniors, ultimately, even the best designed environments depend on the attitudes and policies of care providers to help encourage residents to spend more time outdoors. The available research on access to nature is growing exponentially for all types of residential care settings. Although outdoor space is provided in most senior communities, it is often underutilized. This is of increasing concern because research has found substantial health-related benefits for people spending even modest amounts of time outdoors.
Some of the ways in which the outdoors can improve health and well-being are related to contact with the natural environment, increased physical activity, and exposure to daylight, which is typically much brighter than the indoors. Collectively, these nature elements can promote health benefits such as lower blood pressure, better hormone balance, improved mood, and better sleeping patterns. Access to nature may also improve vitamin D absorption, attention restoration, and levels of social interaction.
About 25 years ago, a finding emerged to the effect that looking at nature seemed to make people feel better, calmed stress, and subsequently my colleagues and I, and then later other groups, documented this scientifically using physiological measures such as blood pressure or measurements of brain electrical activity or muscle tension, respiration, and other physiological stress indicators. And this was a powerful effect. It was and beneficial and rather quick onset. Nature seems to be highly effective, and well-designed gardens in distracting people in pain away from their pain, if you will. And what you see as a benefit of this is a sharp reduction in reported pain, but also an observed reduction in the number of pain drugs.
Well, we know that the environment, both internal and external, is a major determinant of quality of life. For example, we know that light, ambient light, daytime light, is a very important part of establishing our sleep-wake cycles. And in climates where folks do not receive a lot of light, they often have problems with mood disorders, what we call seasonal affective disorders. Now, this is important in late life because sleep patterns begin to change as we get older. That's part of the normal physiology of sleep.
Being able to go out into a garden enables one to experience sunshine, which is very important in senior housing for synthesizing vitamin D and for helping via effects on melatonin and perhaps serotonin to alleviate the pervasive and serious problem of depression.
Being outside is akin to also exercising. And exercising in older adults is very important, not only for quality of life, but for some very practical conditions. For example, it helps with strength and endurance. It helps with maintaining gait stability. It helps with maintaining a certain degree of flexibility. And if you do have problems with arthritic conditions, it also helps with range of motion. So getting out in the environment is very important from an exercise perspective.
In addition to physical needs, gerontologists have identified important psychological goals for older adults, such as the need for autonomy, privacy, and social interaction. The outdoor environment can provide opportunities that help seniors meet these needs to achieve a higher quality of life.
A recent study was carried out in 3 different climate regions of the U.S., with 68 randomly selected communities from different prices and neighborhood contexts. Although focused on assisted living, the study found a broad range of levels of care, and many of the findings can also be applied to senior apartments or skilled nursing facilities.
About 1,600 residents and staff were surveyed about the role of outdoor access in their lives. 70% of residents reported that they cared very much about spending time outdoors, and many said going out made them feel refreshed, rejuvenated, or more alive. Researchers found that certain design features were associated with higher levels of outdoor usage, physical activity, walking, and family visitation.
Results of this study are available as research references and are incorporated into the design guidelines of this program to make it easier to plan usable outdoor space for residents and caregivers.
In long-term care settings, people can have a major influence on the use of outdoor space through policy planning, staff attitudes, maintenance routines, and activity programs. Most staff and administrators realize that going outdoors may benefit residents' health, but this may be forgotten when making decisions about details such as outdoor lighting or locked door policies. Maintenance is also important. Walkways and furniture must be kept clean and in good condition to encourage outdoor usage.
I would say the number one barrier that we face in designing outdoor spaces in long-term care facilities is the maintenance of those facilities. And the operational expense of the maintenance in the gardens is something that is often overlooked. And if those spaces aren't properly maintained, then over time they become uncomfortable, unsafe. The staff's not comfortable letting the residents go out into those spaces.
Many experts feel it is also essential to have a good program of planned activities to encourage residents to spend more time outdoors.
Some of the things that we're looking into is creating an outside area where the staff and the residents and their family members can go, and whether they can participate in picnics where they can play games outside, or they can also plant. They can also sit and have activities outside as well, small parties, things like that, to where they really are able to embrace nature and know that they are not in a closed setting where that can't be a part of their everyday life.
Policies about pets and play areas for children may greatly impact the lives of residents who spend nearly all their time in the senior community. Locked door policies should also be carefully considered and re-examined on a regular basis.
In spite of the potential benefits of nature, staff may have concerns about the safety of residents while outdoors. One way to resolve this problem is to lay out the building so staff can easily view outdoor areas from indoors. It's also important to make sure staff members understand the importance of outdoor access for residents.
I think that you have to sell it to the people who take care of them on a daily basis, which is typically the nurse aides. If they buy into it and they know how important it is, not only to the residents, but how important it is to them to take them outside, to spend the time with 2 or 3 of their residents out on the front patio, out in the gazebo area.
Overall, it seems that people issues such as staff attitudes, maintenance, and organizational policies can make a big difference in whether seniors spend time outdoors or not.
The planning, design, and construction of the place itself also has a major impact on how outdoor areas are used or not used. There are many ways to integrate the building and outdoor areas to improve the connection with nature and make it safe and comfortable. Because even minor barriers, such as inadequate seating or doors that are hard to open, can discourage a resident from going outside, it's important to design each element with the needs and preferences of older users in mind. In a recent study, for example, many seniors preferred outdoor space at the front of the building, where they could watch people come and go, rather than being cut off from the flow of activity. Having better designed, usable outdoor space may create a more welcoming, home-like, and appealing atmosphere to attract new residents.
If I could talk to a designer and tell them the things that we would like in a long-term setting, I would ask them to put themselves at 80 years old. Imagine themselves in a room. And where would life be? Where would they see the growth of life? Is the window in a particular place where they could see that on a daily basis? How is the structure of the day area, of the activity room, of the lobby area? Can they see life growing outside of those windows? Is it easily accessible from the outside? Can they sit outside on the front porch and it's not a slope?
Well, I would tell them that to have as many open windows as they can see out, the people. It means a lot to somebody to see even a rabbit run across their yard, or a squirrel come get their bird feed. And it just makes them feel like they're part of nature, just part of it.
Often, some of the most important issues for older residents are not implemented in community design. Some of the main features that appear to be lacking in many settings are having good access to the outdoors, having adequate shade and seating, and having well-designed walkways.
The accompanying design sessions show how the design of the building, as well as the outdoors, can influence how much time residents will spend outside. Planning a retirement community with outdoor access in mind has challenges, but can produce economic benefits for providers, as well as a higher quality of life for residents, staff, and visitors.
Alzheimer's and other types of dementia usually develop by stages. Over time, the number of residents with dementia is increasing in all types of senior housing. The outdoor environment can help residents engage in familiar and meaningful activities, in spite of changes in memory, mood, and perception. From gardening to planned activities, horticultural therapy, or just walking by themselves or with caregivers or family members, well-designed outdoor space can add freedom and quality of life for people with dementia.
Well, the most rewarding facilities are really the Alzheimer's facilities, where really we have more opportunities to integrate the different features, whether it be architectural, landscape, and to blend the two together and really enable us to bring a lot of the different elements in for the residents, whether it be the plant material or the water. And there's just a lot of senses that you can begin to work with.
Being outdoors can help stimulate memories through sensory involvement, smelling the breeze, touching flowers, hearing familiar sounds. Going outside can also make it easier to stay oriented toward the time of day and the seasons of the year.
There's been a lot of research recently on brain plasticity. So when a part of your brain that gets damaged that used to provide for one function stops providing for that function, we now understand that you can provide opportunities for stimulus that allow the brain to pick up on that. Basically, you can exercise your brain. This garden that's designed for dementia is completely different, and you try to design for managing with aggression and how they interact with something like, for instance, a water feature might be a wash basin or something else.
Designing outdoor space for people with dementia must consider the changes taking place in their perception and behavior. Many outdoor elements may need to be designed differently to help reduce agitation and aggression.
This might include providing additional security and surveillance, using only non-hazardous plant materials, and making sure walkway layout and surfaces are not confusing. It's also important to provide person-centered care by adding elements that trigger memories and designing for enjoyable outdoor activities. The interactive resources in this program have more information on dementia. The design sessions have guidelines for developing outdoor areas that invite residents to go outside freely and provide good settings for visiting with their loved ones.
Anything we do that can benefit a resident's lifestyle and enhance the way they live and the way they want to live is going we're going to see a profit from that in many ways. The happiness of our residents, which affects how they talk about where they live.
It is a higher cost, but oftentimes the return is far greater in that if you can keep the facility full, if you can increase your private pay resident mix that you have in the facility, it's a huge return on investment. It really does pay back.
It's exciting when you're dealing with the senior community and seeing how you can really extend the quality of their life and enhance the quality of life. In the day-to-day world, you become isolated sometimes from things that you've forgotten how to enjoy or experience, and so it's our joy in these facilities to really enhance that capacity and really bring these people into a new stage of their life, not an ending stage of their life, sometimes a beginning stage of their life.
I have a 92-year-old mother who's in an assisted living facility in Texas, and I see what gives her joy, and it's being able to be outdoors, walk with her friends, sit on a bench. And so I know this scientifically, but I also know it in my heart.
If people use the space and they're happy with the space, and when they use that space even in a way that I hadn't originally anticipated, that's a home run for me.
We take care of residents who live in our facilities, but life isn't over for them. And when they are able to go out and see nature, see the birds chirping, see the flowers growing, seeing the large trees and the plants and the wind blowing, that gives them a sense of purpose. That creates in them that there is still a possibility. Life is still worth living because I am connected to something that is bigger than I am.
Ready to get started? Ready to improve the quality of life for older people? In the accompanying design sessions and interactive exercises, you'll find valuable information for making significant changes in your perspective today, now.